Hey everybody, Mr. Street here. We're gonna do a pictorial type drawing we've talked about before called an isometric drawing. Okay, I mean we can always remember our oblique drawings, right? And we've seen this before, I think, where we draw a front view of the object, and then project along consistently angled lines looking like it's going backwards into the page. So if I'm going to draw this object here, this wooden block, and this is 5 by 3.5 by 1.5 inches thick, I can take my take my thing here. We'll go ahead and draw some construction lines really quickly. It should be a very fast drawing here. Go like that, making sure we're leaving enough room to do the total drawing and the projections and stuff like that, right? Kind of hopefully we're planning ahead adequately to have the thing ultimately fit neatly on the page. Now, if I do a quick drawing of it and I figure out, it's way off to one side or the other, I can draw it again and position it better once I know exactly how big it's going to be on the page. You know what I mean? And one over here, this should be 5. Okay. Here's our basic rectangle. Now we can go and cut out of that. This notch is about half the dimension, half the length this way, about half the height this way. So that would make it here's 2.5 here, and this is 3.5 tall, so 1 3/4. That way, we'll kind of draw some lines like this. Okay, that'll be there. This one will be here. Okay, so there we have a front view. I may not take a lot of time to darken this today, just because we have a pretty good idea how these oblique drawings work anyhow. But I figured it's a quick review. It'll be good to see what it should look like. Okay, and I like a 30-degree angle as our as our receding angle going into the page. So let's do that really quick. Fairly simple design here, fairly simple shape. Keeping in mind that we want to go back far enough that we can measure the depth of our object along these lines, right? Following the projection lines, go back that far and connect those dots up to make the, or in this case we can do it like this. We'll measure it on one of them, right? And then hopefully we can go right along and connect all the rest. Okay, so this is 1.5 inches deep, going along this line right here. There's 1.5 inches. So I take that and go like this, go over to this one, down from there to this one, over to this one. Oh wow. Being careful to keep my T-square tight against the board, keep my triangle tight against the T-square. Okay, that looks pretty good. And we'll then erase off the excess. Okay, now let me see, I'll show it to you now just to be sure that you can see it. Okay, so we've made like we said before, made a front view here of the object and then projected back along these consistent angle lines. These are all 30 degrees up from horizontal, right? And then we can go darken that. Should only take us a minute. I find it very very gratifying, you know, after you do a good job of carefully drawing the shape in the, you know, in construction lines, to come back then and darken. Whoops! Try not to go past the mark you want. Okay, we'll do our vertical lines. Making sure that our object lines then are nice and dark and straight and neat. We don't want them to be double lines or something with a little raggedy stuff on the edge, you know. This is common mistakes that people make. Okay. And there we go. As we've talked about before, this is your oblique drawing. Right? Oblique drawing is really simple, and in this case, probably pretty adequate for this shape. Does a good job of showing all the features in one picture. Right? Pictorial view, not really a picture, but that's great. Next thing we're going to do then is to draw this as an isometric view. Right? And we've seen the isometric. The isometric is closer to reality, closer to an accurate depiction, yet still has some distortion and still is not perfect. But I'm gonna walk over here and get my other triangle. I want the smaller one. Okay, I'm back. Now, one of the things that you can do, because I'm confident that a lot of you do not possess, you know, T-square triangles and stuff like that, it's not hard to get a piece of cardboard, something sturdy, maybe like a cereal box or a little thicker, even corrugated cardboard, and make yourself a triangle you can use, right? This is just a piece of poster board I had, and I measured carefully to make sure I've got the, you know, the right angles here. This is 10 inches here, so whatever this came out to be, this is, I would say, yeah, let's see, about 5 7/8, about 5 7/8. The distance here, if you had 10 inches here, 5 7/8 there, then this would just come out to whatever it is. In this case, it seems to be 11 and something, right? 11 5/8, 11 5/8. But you know, if you've measured the other two carefully, then you can simply connect the dots to make the hypotenuse, right? So here I'm going to do, you know, again our construction lines, and do a horizontal line at the bottom, just to give me something to have a reference to. I don't really need that especially, but that's okay. Then I'm going to do this. In the isometric view, this vertical line is going to be the true length and a non-distorted part of the drawing. We said this is our block. This block again is 3 inches tall, right? So we'll go up 3 inches on the vertical. I'm sorry, 3.5. Sorry, 3.5. 3.5. 1.5 inches tall right there. Okay, and from both of these, both this top and bottom point, I'm going to project my 30-degree lines in both directions. So this one is 30 degrees from horizontal going this way. Like that. I purposely positioned the image over here to the right. So that I know that the depth of this is only going to be a little bit compared to the longer dimension there, the width. Okay, so here we go. Here we go. So that's a start. That's our, as we say, our YY axis. I'll hold this up to the camera for a second. Hopefully you can see it there. Okay, this is the height. Now next thing I'm going to do is measure the width of the object along this angle, right? So that I know that this is 5 inches long. The block is 5 inches long. So I can go out here and measure from this bottom corner here 5 inches. Okay, 5 inches right there. Okay, and this way is an 1.5 inches. Right, now let's see what that looks like. If we connect those lines up, we can project vertically straight up from this point to get this end of the object. And then on our 30-degree angles this way. Then we'll go vertically this way to connect up this. Up. Okay, and then this way. Okay, and from this, we should have the isometric rectangle here. That's the overall size of what the object would be if there was no cutout. Right? I'm going to clean this up a little bit just to help me keep everything straight. Hopefully you can see this. As I said before, 30 degrees from horizontal this way, 30 degrees up, 30 degrees up on this side. These are vertical, and the depth, and there's the 1.5 inch measurement along this line, right here and here, and the 5 inch measurement along this axis going out here. Okay? So then, we're going to go ahead and cut out the notch. Right? Again, we've got our nice lightly drawn construction lines. And so here, the notch in this case is halfway, so 2.5 inches this way. We'll make sure I can see that dot because that's going to be important. And then from here, it's 1 3/4 inches to form the horizontal plane there of the notch, right? So half the distance here is 2.5 inches, 1 3/4 inches up from the bottom to here. Okay, I've established those points on my rectangle. Now I can draw those. This way now. Now that we've got these corners, we can project back. this corner I can project down. And finally, this one here goes from here over to there. Right. Okay, that's starting to look like the block now. We need to erase the excess stuff off. Hopefully you can see what I've ended up with here. I hope. So that you can see here where I cut out the notch from the overall rectangle. And I still have some construction lines here. I need to erase these away, but then I'll be ready to darken the whole thing. Right? So this part we don't need. And of course this part down here we can go ahead and get rid of now. Didn't really need that in the first place, but it was a good thing to visualize that way those 30-degree angles come up from horizontal. All right, whoops, there's one more, sorry. Found another errant line. Okay, we'll go ahead and darken this up. Jeez. I'll use this one for now, that'll be nice and dark. Okay, now you notice there's no horizontal lines, right? There are some vertical lines and of course the angles. There's no horizontal lines in this particular image, right? So I'll go here and do my vertical lines first. Now I tend to put the pencil down on the mark, bring the instrument, the triangle over against it. That's mine. That way I make sure it's in just the right spot, so as I go along the instrument the line goes right where I want it to be. Right? I'm not trying to visualize exactly where to put the thing and get the right line. I let my pencil help me do that. Okay, so now we need to go angles one way. To our angles the other way. Again, this would be a great time for me to really smudge the drawing up with my instruments. I'm going to try to lift and move them without messing up the nice lines I've drawn. Oops, I missed one, didn't I? Look at that. Okay, that's a little annoying, but not fatal. Okay, so there we have our isometric drawing. Starting out with the basic rectangular prism, and then coming back and using those lines of the rectangular prism to establish points here, to then cut out the notch, makes it into this L block, right? So here we have. Hopefully we can see that now in the picture. Okay, isometric drawing, right? And most people consider this to be a more accurate rendering of a pictorial view of this object than the oblique was. Okay, you can see it's a little more complicated, but not terribly so, and definitely a nice output there when we're done. Okay, thanks for watching. All right, so what I've done here is to create the previous block just as in construction lines. Okay, this is basically a representation of this guy right here. I'm going to hold it up to the camera just to make sure you can see the construction line stuff here, you know, going from the top here, the big rectangular prism over here, then the cutout for the notch, and so on, right? Now, the reason I'm doing this, not just because I love drawing and I'm having more fun doing it, but I've got this block, right, which is very similar to the other one, but this one has the complication of having a slanted surface, right? On the previous block, this one, all the surfaces are, you know, fall along one of those planes of projection, right? Either they're horizontal or vertical, and so on the angles, and so on. So all these come out somewhere either as a 30-degree line one way, 30-degree line the other way, or a vertical line. This one, on the other hand, has this angle on it. And I believe this is a 45-degree angle right here. But the good thing is I don't really need to know that angle in order to draw it on this piece of paper. The whole objective here is to get this angle properly on the isometric drawing, but when you have 45 in this arrangement, it doesn't translate into a 45-degree angle here, right? So I'm not going to try to figure out an angle on this drawing. I'm simply going to measure the distance from here out to here. Now this edge here, very conveniently, is you know, parallel to these other edges. So I can create that edge by simply finding this point and projecting back on a 30-degree angle to find that other, right? Also, this edge here is right at the corner of the block. So I'm going to establish, and once I've got that location set up and this other location set up on the isometric drawing, I just connect the two, like connect the dots. I don't have to figure out some kind of angle. I simply have to locate those dots on here and then connect them, and it will create the proper angle in my isometric drawing, right? So I'll go over here. I'll say, well, let's see. This whole distance here is 2.5 inches. This distance here is 1 3/4 inches. So if this is a 45-degree angle in life here, that means that we're going to go back here. Excuse me, 1 3/4 inches. The same as it is on the block. Okay, so I simply measure along this axis here, this line, and mark that point right there. And I can then take my instruments and project that line backwards. I project that on the 30-degree angle because I know that edge is parallel to these other edges. That, okay, and then that establishes that point and this point, and we know these 2 points, and then all we have to do is connect them. So I'm going to just take my triangle and use it as a straight edge here and connect that line there, this one here, and that's my shape, right? I'm going to go through darkening it too so it looks really good, but hopefully here you can see I had my original perpendicular shape right here, and now we've got the cutaway based on locating that point and that point to establish these lines. And then this angle here, whether it's an angle between, you know, in relation to this 30-degree line or an angle in relation to horizontal, I don't know what the angle is, and it doesn't really matter, right? So we'll go ahead and erase away the construction lines now, the excess construction lines. see what that looks like. All right, put this here, and we'll go ahead and darken lines. This will be nice and dark. I'm going to save those random angle lines for last, since I don't have to slide any other instruments around to do them. And I'm going to try to lift my triangle a little bit here to keep from smudging the black lead. I've been using this 4B pencil. It's nice, it makes a really nice dark line, but I think it's really prone to smudging. It's soft lead. Oh, missed that one. Okay, and all we've got left are the two off angles here. All right, that looks pretty good. So that's this. Now looking at this block first, we see that it was basically the same L block as before. It has this angle cutoff here, and looking at this one, then we can see that sloped surface there, and as I mentioned before, established by simply knowing this location here and finding this location here using the construction lines, and connecting this to this and this to this, you get this accurately rendered sloping surface in an isometric drawing. Okay, so we'll be doing this. In addition to the the normal one with the square corners, we'll do this one as well.